Marco DeLuca stood frozen at the door. The child in his arms looked up at him with wide, curious eyes. For a moment, the most feared Mafia boss in the city didn't look dangerous at all. He looked like a man whose entire world had just changed. "Elena, what do you mean they found you?" Elena stepped inside quickly and closed the door behind her. Her voice was shaking. "I think Luca knows." Marco's jaw tightened. "My brother." She nodded slowly. "For 3 years, I moved from city to city. I never stayed in one place for more than a few months." Marco looked down at the boy again. "What's his name?" "Adrian." The little boy clutched Marco's shirt. Marco felt something he had never felt before. Fear. Not for himself, but for the child in his arms. He looked back at Elena. "Tell me everything." So she did. She told him about the night she overheard Luca and his father talking. She told him how they planned to kill her, how they said the empire would never belong to Marco if he had an heir. Marco listened without interrupting, but the anger growing inside him was terrifying. His own father, his own brother. They had tried to murder his child before it was even born. Marco walked toward the window slowly. For years, he believed Elena betrayed him. For years, he hated her. And now he realized the truth. She had been protecting their son from his own blood. Marco turned back toward her. "They will never touch either of you again." Elena shook her head. "You don't understand. They control everything in this city." Marco's voice became ice cold. "So do I." He pulled out his phone. Within minutes, 3 black SUVs arrived outside the mansion. Marco's most loyal men stepped inside. Men who had followed him for years. Men who feared no one. Marco handed the child back to Elena gently. "You're leaving tonight." Elena looked shocked. "Where?" "A place even my family doesn't know exists." That night, Elena and Adrian were secretly taken out of the city, hidden in a quiet coastal town, hundreds of miles away. Only 3 people knew where they were. Marco, his most trusted bodyguard, Victor, and the old woman who owned the safe house. But Marco's real plan had only just begun. Because hiding them wasn't enough. He needed the truth. He needed proof. And he needed his family to confess. So the next night, Marco did something no one expected. He invited the entire DeLuca family to dinner. His father arrived first, cold, silent. Then Luca walked in, smiling like nothing had ever happened. Marco watched them carefully. For years they had manipulated him. But tonight, the game had changed. Halfway through dinner, Marco poured everyone a drink. Then he placed his phone on the table and pressed play. A recording filled the room. Luca's voice, clear, undeniable. "The girl is pregnant." Silence. Then the old man's voice. "Remove the girl." Marco slowly looked up. His father's face had gone pale. Luca stopped smiling. For the first time in years, fear appeared in his eyes. Marco leaned back calmly. "For 3 years I believed she betrayed me." His voice was quiet, dangerously quiet. "But the truth is," he looked directly at Luca, "you tried to kill my son." The room exploded with shouting, but Marco raised his hand, and instantly his men stepped into the dining room, armed, ready. Luca laughed nervously. "You think you can turn the family against us with a recording?" Marco smiled slowly. "No." Then he said the words that destroyed everything. "But the police might." He slid a folder across the table. Inside were documents, bank transfers, phone records, evidence linking Luca to multiple murders. Evidence the authorities had been searching for years. Marco looked at his brother one last time. You wanted the Empire. He stood up. You can have it. Luca looked confused. Marco turned toward the door. Because by tomorrow morning, he said calmly, you'll be running it from a prison cell. And somewhere, hundreds of miles away, Elena sat quietly watching the ocean. Adrian sleeping beside her, not knowing the war being fought for his future. But one thing was certain. Marco DeLuca was no longer fighting for power. He was fighting for his family, and no one on earth was more dangerous than a mafia boss protecting his child.